Hey, Miss Mary, how are you?
Oh, hey, I'm good.
Good. I just wanted to let you know you don't quite have a quorum yet.
Okay.
I see 5 people. There are 2 more people who said they were coming, so we can wait and see. I think
Marilee, we have to have both the people who were supposed to be on the call to have the quorum. How many?
no, ma'am, we just need 6. We need 6 members to have a quorum. So Mary, I just emailed them both.
Okay.
I don't have their phone numbers.
Okay. I wonder, on our, DD Council roster stuff that we keep updated, if it has a phone number or something on there, I'll be glad to call. But I don't have a copy of one of our old sheets, I don't think.
Well, let me see if Hannah might have one.
I find one in a folder. All right. I don't know if they're on here though. I'm gonna go on mute. I found one of their phone numbers. They're gonna have Marilee, I have Mitch. His internet is down, so he only has phone.
So does he know how to, does he not know how to do it from his phone?
I don't know.
What'd you say?
Do you know how to, I guess, get on the meeting from your phone?
I've never done that. I could try.
Do you have an iPhone?
Uh,
He has an Android. I have no idea. We have a phone number you can call in, but I don't think that'll help us with the being able to be seen. Is that what the rule is? Yeah.
that's the issue. Do y'all not have a quorum right now?
No, we don't.
Ah,
I know.
I'm sorry.
That's
I really
okay.
am. Gil, yeah, I ran down the hall. I said, "What's the deal with the internet?"
Dr. Fletcher,
Yeah, sorry. I muted.
thank you for coming because I know that you said you weren't available, so I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, I moved some things around. So got it.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
The list I have doesn't have Mr. Phil on there.
Right, mine either. I haven't seen an email back. Let me just refresh. He cannot make it. He has a time-sensitive project that he has to stay focused on. He asked Laura Stasio to sit in on behalf of HDC, but she has to leave at 7:30.
Okay. Well,
Everybody else said, everyone else had already said that they couldn't come on this date. So I'm not sure if you're gonna get.
they won't.
what you need.
Well, I guess we've already had some discussion, so I don't know if it does us any good to discuss anymore. Because we won't be able to submit anything to the planning committee yet.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody who did take the time to attend and all of our guests.
Okay. And Marilee, maybe you and I can talk after and we'll just look at some more. Bambi, are you trying to tell us something? You're on mute.
So you're not on mute, but we cannot hear you.
Oh.
Oh no, still can't hear you. You might want to type it in. There are 6 people, she is saying. Okay. Bambi says we have 6 people. Sarah, Melissa. Oh, Chris came. Chris just joined.
Oh,
Hi, everyone. I apologize. I got meetings mixed up. We had the exact same committee meeting, but for GACTA yesterday, and I got them confused.
Chris, you saved the day.
Oh, well, I apologize for being late.
It's okay. You haven't missed a thing. Okay, yay. Now are we good, Marilee?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. My stress level just came down a smidge. All right. Well, then we'll get started. Today we need to focus on our action plan and what we would like to have as our activities for our Education and Employment Committee. And we did have some discussion the last time. And so hopefully we have a few things in mind. I know that Sarah is new to the process. So just to kind of give you a little quick rundown. The council has action plans, and those were attached, the ones that we have for the, we have a 5-year action plan, and then each year we kind of like carve out what we're going to try and get done in that physical year. So for us, we have for our education and employment committee, if you look at the attachment that was the 5-year plan, it has the goal about individuals with developmental disabilities will have access to quality education in inclusive and safe environments throughout all stages of life, and access to self-determination, individualized, equal, and gainful employment opportunities that provide competitive wages and integrated work environments. And then from there, we made 2 objectives. One of them was parents of students with developmental disabilities will have increased access to early diagnosis, identification of needs, early intervention services, childcare, and information and opportunities to collaborate with educators regarding individualized education planning or programming to meet the needs of the students. The other one is individuals with developmental disabilities will have increased employment outcomes upon transitioning from secondary educational settings, access to employment opportunities, inclusive of services from highly qualified employment support providers, and increased competitive and integrated opportunities from employers who are educated on how to support people with developmental disabilities. So we take those objectives and we decide on activities, actual things that can happen or that we want to happen or work toward for the next year. So that's what we're trying to do today. Our objectives, obviously, and our goals are very, very broad so that we can zone in on the things that we, want to accomplish, but gives us a broad scope to start with. So in the past, one of the things that we had in our action plan, I included that just to kind of give everybody an idea of some of the things that we've, had on our list to accomplish. So some things can be activities that don't cost any money. We're going to advocate for increased focus of capacity with Department of Education on special education. And then we could have some things that would cost money that we're going to provide financial support, which is one of the things that we have been working on, provides financial support to establish the post-secondary Inclusive Education Alliance and had them do some work for us. So those are the outlines of the things that we're working toward today, is to come up with a couple of activities, at least one for education and one from employment, that we could present to the planning committee. So Bambi.
Thank you. I can't figure out where to raise my hand. I apologize. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Can you share the screen, because I guess I'm not good with just processing auditorily. I need to see something visually.
Yes, I was about to do that.
And I got so excited everybody was here, just jumped right in. So
Understandable. That
when
is.
anybody moves, does anything, I need to call the meeting to order and go over the virtual protocols, which I don't know what they say, except raise your hand, be recognized by the chairperson. I'm afraid to move anything off my screen or y'all could all disappear and I'll never see you again. So I'm not going to touch my computer. Marilee's going to pull that up. Chris, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I don't know if it would be beneficial as we do some planning, but The meeting that I actually got this one confused with, I knew I had an education and vocation meeting this week. Melissa and I, and Melissa is our great leader and chair on this committee, are in kind of a newly formed subcommittee of GACTA. And we met yesterday to discuss two major plans that we had. I don't know if it'd be beneficial to talk about those very briefly. There's two schools of thought. One could be, since there's another group doing something, maybe we don't need to do it as much over here. Or the other school of thought would be, why not make them both move in the same direction and kind of consolidate efforts. But Melissa, as kind of the chair of that, do you want to tell these folks a little bit about that meeting?
Sure. You knew I was reluctant about that.
Oh, I know.
But I am happy to do that because this is education and employment is a very important topic for both of these councils. Two of the main things we discussed, I'm going to start with the second and then tell you the first because I want to tell you some follow-up on that. But we talked about CTPs, which are comprehensive transition programs, and how to expand those throughout the state. And those are programs for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, basically to give them a college experience. Some programs you are able to obtain some type of credential, some not, but they both, whether they provide a credential or not, they provide valuable experience to those individuals to give them that experience. We also talked about IRS has a statewide MOU with the Louisiana Department of Education to make sure that we are basically in compliance with the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And one of the struggles that we talked about during that meeting, and in that particular meeting, we didn't have a representative from the Department of Education, is that there seems to be a type of disconnect. Like when I was the transition coordinator years ago, I always had a point of contact with the Department of Education, and we're having difficulty basically identifying who that individual would be and how to get state support because we are struggling in a lot of districts to implement pre-employment transition services in some of the districts across the state. We actually did reach out to the contact that we do have that serves on our advisory council yesterday, and we did hear back from her, and her response was basically to send stuff to an email box. And that was kind of very disheartening to me because we have always had we're a state agency, and we've always had a contact with the Department of Education. So if somehow, I think there's a lot of, and maybe it's just us, I'm not sure, but it seemed to be also something that other individuals on the other group spoke about. But I think we need some kind of something with the Department of Education to explain exactly how they're structured now, because there seems to have been some changes because we don't know who to contact. Like we need some assistance in implementing a law in school districts, and we don't know where to go. So just to kind of give you some, and I'm not trying to, this is just the experience that we're having right now. And I know, like Dr. Fletcher, I don't know you. Like we have new people. We don't know who anybody is, and we're just having some struggles.
All right. I will see if Dr. Fletcher has any comments.
Yeah, I raised my hand. I didn't know if I needed to wait to speak. First of all, thank you for all the work that you've done, and thank you for your patience as we are working on reorganizing and restructuring with our new administration. And I will say the reason that things have been probably directed to an inbox is that everyone on our team sees that. And so we all have access to it, and we can quickly funnel things to the right people that have the right experience. But I would say, like, if you your point of contact is me, so like feel free to reach out, and like I would love to sit down and talk with and really meet all of you individually. But please feel free to do that. We are still working on restructuring and reorganization, and determining how that's going to move forward. But in the meantime, I want you also to know that like transitions is a huge part of our consideration. I mean, I think that is a huge work stream that we are trying to think about how we can best support it. So, you know, I would love to connect, and I can put my email in the chat box.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So it sounds like Bambi has her hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just a point of information. The last person I remember that was the transition specialist at the Department of Education was Rebecca Hargrave, if I'm remembering her name right. Rebecca was great. Like that was her job, was
Hanberry.
Transportation. Hanberry, okay. That was her job, was transition. And so that she's been gone for several years now. So it's not really just the new administration, but I think that that's a model that worked by having that point of contact. So hopefully the new administration will go back to that, having those experts or people that focus on specific areas as point of contacts.
Thank you. So do y'all want to work on the education, the employment part first then, Melissa, since we definitely, I think, I would recommend that we have at least one or two actions under each, hopefully. And since y'all have some fresh information, you might want to, we can just start with some ideas that you might have. But we would have to have it, an activity listed, like it needs to be worded out. We might have to, Marilee can start, once we get to a point where we're ready to type some words out, Marilee will help us on the screen, but we definitely want to focus on trying to get something written out that makes sense for us to, have the action activity, ready for us to present to the planning committee. So.
Right. And I don't know how it would be worded. But I think there just needs to be some collaboration with the Department of Education as they're restructuring, just so that everyone understands exactly, how things are structured and where do we go to when we have certain issues and things like that. And just to improve the communication.
Melissa, under WIOA, you guys you do have an MOU already established, right? That's not something we could work on.
Yes, we do. And actually, I think Mr. Garcia sent a copy of that to y'all yesterday. So you have a copy of it. But obviously that MOU can be amended at any time. It was written with the other administration, and it's strictly compliance. But there's definitely ways that we could improve it. So that's an idea.
Yeah. So from my perspective, in terms of this particular subject, for me, it's more about what can we do to support you and and Voc Rehab.
Mm-hmm.
You think that the MOU could use some improvements, and you think that this is an appropriate group to help with that. I think that would be a good start to supporting Voc Rehab and transition, and also being in compliance with a law,
Right.
which is important.
Yeah, all the compliance pieces are already in the MOU, but there's things that you can do at the state level in that MOU, basically determining who's responsible for what, because that often is something that is a source of contention and some confusion. Because we can provide pre-employment transition services, but we're not supposed to come in and start paying for things that the school districts are supposed to pay for under IDEA. We're basically supposed to enhance what's done at the district level, but maybe coming in and saying, we could go and put in the MOU, that VR provides work-based learning experiences and things like that. There's just things that we can do with that.
So how would we make it, if that's sounds like some kind of collaborative, something needs to be going on between LRS and the Louisiana Department of Education. And I guess in my mind, I see that whatever activity, then we would have that like start to be reported at our quarterly meetings for education and employment, so that we are seeing that activity as it kind of plays itself out. And then if there's something that comes up that the council, the Education and Employment Committee can help, be the stakeholders, be involved, in those ways. So we want to make sure that we're putting something in place that's that the council is going to have an activity to monitor, or to, we're either advocating for something, we're trying to, increase our number of people who are, increase things. I guess I'm just trying to figure out what we would be, how the DD Council wouldn't be involved in that MOU, or is it something that y'all need to work outside of the council and then come back to report? Is there something that we, how can we put something together that's going to make sense for the council?
Mary, this is Melissa. I don't know if the MOU would make sense, but I'm thinking maybe an objective could be to provide recommendations and support to assist LRS and Department of Education to make pre-employment transition services available to all students with disabilities. I know that's a big thing, but it's actually what we're required to do. So to provide assistance, getting into those school districts that we're not that we don't have participation in.
So how would the activity be worded, though? I guess I'm a little bit confused.
Maybe it would be like an increase, work with LRS and Department of Education to increase the number of school districts participating in pre-employment y'all have to help me with the words, but transition or.
So, Miss Mary,
Yes.
okay, so we have goal 3, which I think you guys, can you all see it okay on the screen?
Yes.
And under there, there's 2 objectives. So would you, I'm thinking, would you want this one under objective 3.1 or 3.2? That might be a good place to start.
I think it would be under 3.2.
Okay. So then if you read objective 3.2, that might help you guys. It might funnel you towards some language, maybe. That's what I was thinking. I don't know if you want to read that while thinking about what you want to do, if that makes sense.
This is Bambi. I think what y'all were talking about getting into the pre-employment transition, the pre-ed services into more school districts is going to lead to better outcomes. That's what that's geared to do. So, that would be a activity. Now, how exactly to word it, I'm not a wordsmith, but that would definitely be an activity, I think, that would go under there.
So also, it doesn't have to be worded perfect, because this is going to the planning committee. It's going straight to the planning committee, and they're really just going to take the ideas and wordsmith it if they even decide to adopt it.
And
I don't know if Melissa,
Yeah, it talks about access. So I think that's what we're talking about here is access to services.
So
Speech-
would we advocate for access or, yeah, advocate for access to,
Pre-employment transition services for all students with disabilities.
Marilee, will you like type out so we can see what the activity is?
I have it's, sorry, I'm trying to remember. I have to now switch my screen
Okay.
to the Word document because what I'm sharing now is a PDF. Okay. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see that?
Melissa, is there anything, would any of it involve any funding? Like, is there,
I have to tell you,
fund anything?
we have the funding that we need
Okay.
for pre-employment transition services. I can't think of anything now. That's for the actual services. I can't think of anything administrative or anything like that at this moment that we would need.
I think one of the things that we talked about at the last meeting was about how families don't have a good understanding of what that even looks like, to even advocate for themselves before this whole process gets looked at and gets kicked off better. So would it also be something about trying to provide some education to families to help to for, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like the families need to have education about what's available, and that might be that we need to develop some, or you may already have like a tool that, or a website that's set up, or how would a family, how would I know how to get my child into that?
We definitely don't have a website yet.
Okay.
But we are working on an informational brochure. It's with PR right now, but that could be distributed definitely. And y'all could assist with distributing that if y'all would like. So we should have that soon.
Okay.
I also think, to Mary's point, one thing I know, Melissa, the pre-eds, they have to, the LRS has to use 15%, are required to use 15% of their budget for pre-ed services, and they have more than enough money right now. Like, they have money available that they have to spend. An issue that people have brought up is about having LRS counselors attend or participate in those IEP meetings at that certain age. And I know an issue is in regards to having the staff, LRS staff, available to be able to do that. And so, Melissa, as much as she wants to do it, if their staff is not available, it's not available. I mean, there was big cuts during the general administration to the LRS staff, and that's never been brought back up. It probably wasn't at the most it should have been at that point, but still it has a big cut. So that might be something. I mean, until they can actually have the people there to attend the IEP meetings, I think it's always just going to be a confusing thing for families. So
I agree, Bambi. Just to kind of give everyone a perspective, I think right now it's a fluid number. I have about 68 counselors for the whole state of Louisiana. I mean, if you think of how many school districts there are, and that's, if you think about it in terms of funding, that's 15% of their job. So, I mean, they also have, you know, the adults and other individuals that they need to serve. So that kind of gives you some perspective on why we can't attend every IEP meeting that we would like to attend. But we are continuing to hire. We do have some recruiting difficulties. I think a lot of state government has issues with that, with our pay and things like that. But we're trying to work through those things to hire qualified staff to assist these individuals.
So to that point, I mean, Melissa's doing everything that she can, but I think it's, as advocates, as the DD Council, like, this is something that we could do, is to advocate. They need to have more, the legislature has to provide more TOs. TOs are positions. If the legislature, they can have millions and millions of extra dollars. If they don't have the positions allotted, they cannot hire people. So like, that's an advocacy thing. So they have the position, they have the funding. I mean, yeah, the position's available, the funding, and then it still takes some time. I mean, it's a long-term type thing to ramp up, to have the capacity to serve to the degree I think we all think would be best.
Okay, does anybody, I'm not seeing anything in chat. Does anybody have, is this like the three kind of some ideas that we could now wordsmith into the activities that we need for objective 3.2? And I'll open that up to any of our committee members and then for any public comment.
Miss Mary, you have a hand raised. Carmen's hand has been raised.
Oh, okay, sorry, I can't see it. Carmen?
Okay, it was on the last comment.
Okay.
Just a heads up for, I don't know about other districts, but Lafayette Parish has a transition team and it's some of the counselors. I actually had, I guess it was a counselor, but she worked for the parish, the school system. And she attended my second grader's IEP and just made sure that I was linked with Acadiana Area Human Services District. We talked about what, you know, the plan would be educationally, what track was my goal. I mean, it was really forward thinking for someone to be in second grade IEPs. You know, obviously that's kind of on the earlier end, but I just wanted to say it's a unicorn. It's probably not usual, but it does happen here and there. But when I saw somebody in the second grade IEP, I was pretty impressed.
So Miss Mary, I just want to remind you, I hear you guys talking a lot about IEPs, and it was discussed at the last Education Employment Committee discussion because there was no quorum, it was just a meeting. Overlapping with LRS. So another idea for y'all is you can still look at our current 5-year plan, the one that's ending in September of 2021, that has the activities for FFY 2021 listed. Because I think some of those may be a little bit of what y'all are touching on, and if you don't feel they were met in that 5-year plan, or you don't feel like they will be completely met by the end of FFY 2021, which is September 30th of this year, you could bring those in as suggestions or tweak them. And that's linked in the agenda. If y'all want to see it, I can also share it, but I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I was using that. I'm like stealing words from it to make sure that as we try and figure out what we want to say for any new activities related to this, that we kind of, and I had highlighted some of the stuff that we had already in our plan as well. So I think that is a good idea. And I think that may be like, if you can pull that up, Marilee, I think that's maybe some of the stuff from goal number 5.
Okay, so I'm just gonna have to leave what y'all are looking at now.
Yeah.
So goal 5 looks like employment. I was looking at goal 3. And you can see there's an objective for that talks about IEPs and it has 2 activities. I'm not sure this is helpful. If you guys want me to scroll around, just let me know.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking that whenever we talked about the IEPs, that we would be putting that, even if it was about an IEP, that we would put that under the education piece.
Okay,
For employment. And so when you read the objectives, the goal and objective, we're substituting the goal and objective that's on, that was goal number 3 from our 5-year plan. So the activities is what we're looking at based on the objective, but the wording and some of the things that we have in here as activities may be things that either we still want to keep on, keep a focus on, or we can use one of them and kind of tweak the words to put in or focus one on the transition, the pre-employment transition project or activity. So I think we talked about one for advocating for, the training or the hiring people to be in that increase the number of counselors or whatever. So maybe we can tweak one of the activities, cut and paste it, maybe to put it in the other. And then we can change the words around for what we want to do.
Chris has his hand raised.
Chris.
Hey, just for clarification, I think I understand the difference between the 2 documents. But right now we're looking at the 2021 action plan, and what we're trying to create language for is the 5-year plan, right?
Right. And what we're doing, what we provided was what our action plan was with the activities so that we could see what we have already had in place and then see if any of those we want to continue on and move it. You'd either move it over or tweak it to fit what you want to do now and move it over to the 22-26 5-year plan. And we started out with the goal, of course, and the objectives are reworded compared to what's in this, to what this for the 21 action plan, but the activities is just giving you an idea of some of the wording and how we've wordsmithed other activities, and then see if there's any activities on here that we want to continue that would fit under our objectives for the Education and Employment Committee. So kind of have it as a guide, and then can make changes based on what we're talking about today. So Marilee, because one of them, one of the little, one of the notes that you had taken was about the talking about employment. The activity 5.1.1 is what's coming to my mind about. Can you copy and paste it over to the notes that you were taking today and see if we can?
Yeah, so activity 5.1.1, advocate for employment support professionals to complete high quality professional development.
Mm-hmm.
That one.
We would.
Is that the one you want?
Yes. I'm all about copy and paste.
And I'll just switch back over. And I typed just kind of some of the things y'all were saying.
And so then we talked about that we would advocate legislatively for increased LRS.
So I heard Bambi say, she talked about the funding and then the positions themselves. But I heard her talking more about legislatively for the positions. That's what I wrote. But I can write whatever you guys.
Now, can we, I guess what we're trying, or a lot of the,
I don't even know if you had put legislatively, because it's both administrative and legislative. So you just need to advocate for increased LRS counselor positions. And to me, that would be inclusive of administrative, legislative, and it would include funding. You have to have the funding. And the TOs.
I'm sorry, I don't know what a TO is.
It's a position. That's just the technical legislative or whatever.
You want me to
state
put,
terms.
do you want me to put TO, or do you think everybody would understand that?
You don't have to. I mean, positions are the TO, I think, right, Melissa?
TO stands for Table of Organization. When you go to the legislature, TO is the official number of positions that you have. So I would say, I mean, increasing positions, I think makes the most sense for this group.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is that,
Do you want to specify in the first bullet when you're advocating for pre-employment transition services that it's with LRS?
yes.
Just thinking clarity wise, if someone's reading this and they weren't in the meeting.
Okay. So you can,
This is Bambi. I think looking at that first bullet though, like if you're looking for clarity, a big part of this is about having access to our school districts for them to be able to go in. So if you just kind of want to be able to be as clear as possible, part of that is
You tell me if you like it or if you want to change it. I'm just typing.
I like it. Okay, so this would be these ideas are what we're looking at for activities. So the first one would be advocate for access to LRS pre-employment transition services within school districts for all students with disabilities. Anybody have any comment about that one? Okay, then the next one was about providing education to families about pre-employment. I guess we need to write out pre-employment transition services or, yeah.
Or you could say, this is Melissa, you could maybe just say transition services. But when you talk about pre-employment transition services, you're talking about a set of 5 activities, but LRS is actually supposed to assist with the whole transition process, which is inclusive of pre-ETs, but it's also more than that, if that makes sense.
Do you want to take out pre-employment in the first bullet?
Not in the first one, because that's the issue that we're having is getting into the actual school districts to provide those 5 activities.
Okay.
Okay. So that left provide education to families about what LRS transition services are available and how to access them. Example, assist in distributing LRS brochure that is being developed. And then, is there any comments or thoughts about that one? Can't see everybody's hand, so if anybody has their hands up, yell out. Advocate for increased LRS counselor positions, including administrative, legislative, and funding efforts. That sounds good. And then you can delete that last one. I was just using it as words to make sure we. Okay. Are there any other activities that we had on the FY 2021 action plan that we want to continue or we need to move over? Which I think starts with goal 5. The activities. And a lot of these, Melissa, I think were some of those things that got with the education and the employment piece, the oh shoot, the training that they went through.
Yeah, I think you're speaking.
Associate,
Yeah, limit. Yeah.
So, you know, some of these things have already been addressed. I just wanted to point out, this is kind of how we'll see it as we put stuff on there for this, you know, coming years, that we would mark off the things that you've gotten accomplished and see if there's anything else. What about the, what do we do about that activity, the one that cost $32,000? Was that something that doesn't say it got done? I don't know if that's something, I don't remember what that was about.
So Miss Mary, that is O'Neill Communications. I think that would be a good one, because I don't think we're gonna be, I don't think we should put a deadline on ourselves of when to, for example, stop sharing videos. They're interviewing and making all the videos and brochures
Yeah.
right now.
So let's paste that, copy that back onto the, our other sheet.
Okay, just 5.3.2. Yeah, I guess.
So the money and stuff, that has that already been paid for, or we need to have funding for that?
Their contract is already funded, and they're just doing the work.
Okay. Marilyn, do you know of any of these other ones that are ongoing from the previous year that we need, that we haven't, that are in, I guess we're looking at just at this moment?
So the 3 under objective 5.3 is what O'Neill is doing right now.
Okay,
So I think it would be appropriate for that middle one.
okay.
I'm truly not super familiar with 5.4.
Okay. I'm not sure either. All right.
That
Does
seems
anybody
like that has to do with our state agencies and like advocating for our state agencies to stay, you know, make sure that whatever programs or funding that they have is in line with kind of like what best practices are on employment issues. That's what I would think it is. It's not super clear, but so there's some things like I know within OCDD, so making sure that they are like funding for waiver, the way they fund for employment services for their waiver is actually incentivizing providers to provide employment services as opposed to more segregated type services. So I know that they're working on some of those changes. So that could be something.
That might be something we need to copy over.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll let Marilee copy that over and we'll look at it again and see if there's anybody has any comments. We're at 10:37, so I want to make sure we stay on time. And look at us doing employment before education. Sarah, we usually tend to dwell on education much more than employment, so. All right. So here we are. I'll read through them one more time and then we'll see if anybody has any comments. Advocate for access to LRS pre-employment transition services within school districts for all students with disabilities. Provide education to families about what LRS transition services are available and how to access them. Advocate for increased LRS counselor positions, including administrative, legislative, and funding efforts. Share Developmental Disabilities Council employment videos featuring individuals with developmental disabilities on their jobs. And advocate for systems changed based on emergent employment issues. Does any council members have any comments? All right. Is there any public comment on activities related to employment? Chris, you have your hands raised.
Yeah, one issue that I think I brought up a long time ago, and then I kind of forget about it from time to time, and it exists here in Louisiana from what I understand. It's just it got gutted at some point, which is the Medicaid buy-in program, which is I think really beneficial in terms of trying to get help individuals with developmental disabilities and all disabilities gain competitive integrated employment and still maintain certain types of benefits. Anybody else has thoughts on the Medicaid program, Medicaid buy-in program, and if that's something that over the next 5 years might want to try and work on in terms of basically getting it back to where it was and perhaps making some improvements.
That's something that we talked about in GACTA, and that was actually something that we wanted to work on. Just haven't been able to do the work, the research behind it, and so I definitely think that's something that would be beneficial. You know, we need to get a lot of assistance on research, like from the Department of Health. But I would support that.
So how would we, would it be us doing some advocating for it, or we would be trying to assist somebody? What would you think that we need to put as the activity? Work with somebody, help us out.
I would say maybe support efforts to examine the effectiveness of a Louisiana Medicaid buy-in program.
Bambi, who'd you say was working on that or had talked about it?
GACTA, the Governor's Advisory Council on Disability Affairs.
Okay.
We've discussed it, and it was one of the policy proposals we were going to work on. We have several, but just that one has not moved forward just because of the other things going on.
So it would be like a legislative piece that we'd have to work on, or?
If it's legislative, it might be policy.
Okay.
That would be something LDH could.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, how does that sound then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 activities for objective 3.2 about employment. All right. Does anybody have any of the committee members have any comments? Any other ideas? Anybody, any public comment?
There's a comment from Courtney Ryland. She said, I thought Mary was talking about the activity 5.3.3 with the 32,000 cost attached to it.
Oh.
Miss Mary, I
Or-
think she can speak. Courtney, do you want to speak?
Yeah. Wait,
Hi, can you hear me? I'm sorry. I've
We
been
can hear
having
you.
technical difficulties, which is why I was typing. But yeah, Miss Mary, you had first mentioned you wanted to look at the activity that had the $32,000 cost attached to it. And that's not the activity that you copied and pasted. So I just wanted to make sure that we were both talking about the same activity.
okay, was the $32,000, wasn't the videos at something else?
Correct. That's a different
okay.
activity.
All right, is that one that we still need to be looking at, Courtney?
If you would like for that to continue throughout 2022, this
Have we
would be a
got-
good time.
Okay, I'm sorry. Have we gotten started on it at all? Do you know?
If Marilee has been in constant contact with O'Neill, so she can provide an update.
Yeah, but
Okay.
are those two separate things or the same?
They are separate.
So we have two contracts with O'Neill. One of them is video, and it's like video and visual materials. And then there's a different one. But this activity, Courtney, unless I'm mistaken, is talking specifically about the employment videos, which should come from the employment seminars contract.
That was not my understanding. I think the employment seminars contract was just for seminars to be conducted throughout the state. It's not for them to produce videos featuring individuals with developmental disabilities on their jobs. That's with the other contract.
Okay, so the one that's right here, 5.3.2,
Mhm.
you think you're saying we shouldn't move that over?
That's being addressed through a different activity. So Miss Mary was talking about the employment seminars contract, or that activity that has the $32,000 cost attached to it. This activity doesn't have a cost attached to it because it's a part of a different activity in like goal number 1 or goal number 2.
I think what we're looking at talks about sharing employment videos.
Yeah,
And-
but what she's saying is, do we need to look at the one that, the cost? Because I wanted to make sure if we had something, so far, none of these have any cost associated with it, but the action plan from 2021 had this as a cost to do the seminars. And I just assumed, I don't know, I was reading into it that it had something to do with the videos, and you said we'd already done that piece. So it sounds like that we do need to continue 5.3.3 if we want to move forward with doing seminars with the Chamber of Commerce throughout the state on benefits of hiring people with developmental disabilities. I don't know how we came up with $32,000 or what that, do you know who we were going to pay to do something for $32,000? Was that O'Neill as well?
Right.
So is that the part that should be moved over along with the other one? I mean, we definitely, if they're making the videos, we definitely want to make sure that we're sharing them.
Right.
So should we move 5.3.3 over?
So you want them to conduct seminars with the chambers of commerce throughout the state again?
Did they complete it or not? I guess I was understanding that they hadn't done it.
Right, so their contract is gonna end when this action plan ends. And then right now, we're doing ideas for the one that starts October 1, so their contract will be over by then. Does that make sense?
Marilee, please correct me if I'm incorrect. Aren't they conducting 2 seminars per month starting in March?
I don't
And it will,
have their schedule in front of me. So I don't have that schedule. I guess you just need to kind of decide if you want to do that again or not. I'm not,
Well, if they're not going to finish something that, if they haven't finished doing what they were supposed to do, then we need to, I guess, move it forward for an activity.
I never received information that they weren't gonna, I didn't receive that information. I don't have the specific schedule in front of me.
Okay.
He asked for, but I was under the impression they would meet their contract deliverables within their contract unless I don't know everything.
Okay. All right, so if that's the case and we don't have to move that one over, these are the 6 activities now that we have. Is there any other, I don't see any public chat or anything in the chat or any public comment. So what, Marilee, do we just keep going and we'll just make one recommendation, or how would we, what's the process that we have to go through?
I think that would be easier. Sean used to do it. I remember him doing it a little differently. It might be easier just for you guys to agree on your ideas for activities and then kind of make a motion to present that group of ideas to the planning committee. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Okay, if anybody thinks they have to drop off, we all holler so that we can vote on this. Bambi?
Oh, I was gonna make a motion. I thought it was Tony.
Okay. Do not let one person leave this meeting without us getting this motion approved, I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
make a motion just for employment and then make another one later just for, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, well, let's do that for fun.
I'll make the motion to, I guess, what do we need? I'm trying to make a motion that we present or share these recommendations for ideas for activities.
Yeah.
To the planning committee.
Mhm. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Chris.
Thank you, Chris. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. Any objections?
Mary, I think I need to abstain from this vote, I believe.
Okay. I used to have a little cheat sheet by me to tell me what order I'm supposed to go in, but
You could just ask if there's any objections. And if nobody answers, then.
All right.
change it.
All right. We say motion passed. Okay. Thank y'all. All right, now we are not done. Of course, we have education. So we have the same process for education that we need to talk about. And I will open up for any ideas and discussion and see if Department of Education has anything. I know they have so many new things going on. Is there something that we can help y'all with that you've thought about? I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't have anything, it's fine. But anything that that you feel like would be appropriate for the DD Council to help with, Sarah, please let us know.
Mary, thanks. The only thing I can think of is the department just released a new set of priorities, and I can put a link to that in the chat, the Believe to Achieve priorities, and that may be worth us all taking a look at. But that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, generally supportive of this. So.
Yeah, do you, I know we have, we had talked about the IEPs, so maybe we can do something around the IEPs. I think that was from our past action plan. We had some activities around the IEP. So do you know if any, Sarah, if any of those, if any of the information on that Louisiana Believes has anything to do with IEPs that we might be able to?
Yeah, I would say there's actually quite a bit about like employment and transitions, but I think I mean the IEPs aren't specifically mentioned in the Believe to Achieve plans, but I do think there's a lot of work around individualized graduation plans, which are a requirement of IEPs. And there's lots of opportunities for places to jump in here. So.
So in our past action plan, we had the to advocate for increased focus and capacity with the IEPs to address special education.
I do have one thought as I'm thinking about this. So it's not necessarily mentioned it's not laid out in the priorities. But one thing we are currently working on is a major overhaul to our SIR system. And I know you might, depending on your role, be tangentially familiar with the system, but it's where all of the IEPs are stored electronically in the system. I don't know if you've ever seen the website, but it's pretty old, it's pretty clunky, and we're doing a major overhaul of this. And so there's a lot of opportunity here to encourage best practice. And I do think it would be great, like as we've been talking this morning, thinking about getting all of your input into some key areas that might make IEP meetings go more smoothly, or things we could add into the system that might prompt for best practice really in the meetings, or for school systems before and after meetings. So I don't know what kind of action step that looks like, but I do think that is a really important lever from policy to practice. And I'm really excited about these changes and would love to get input from you all.
Okay, I think that that's a good way to start with. Maybe it can be that we'll
I wonder if it's, I see a comment in the chat about the pilot, the reevaluation and waiver pilot. And when I think of, and that's also related to a process in SIR, I wonder if it is like advocating, if it's, you know, for in terms of like action steps for us, it's like advocating for best practice in high impact systems, like, well, I don't know if you want to name the SIR system, but I think those are areas where those are really high impact systems. And I do think there is a role for advocacy there.
Okay. That sounds good. And I think that it's I guess we could list the system. I mean, I would say maybe that will help as I'm thinking as we move through this, that for the planning committee and, you know, it'll kind of like trigger our memories as to what that big broad thing kind of looks like. So Marilee, can you start typing up some of our ideas? I see our chat box all of a sudden got busy. So
And I can't see the chat box.
all right, well,
Really,
let's see.
so
Let's see.
Basically what's in the chat box, or like from what other, like the SEEP and what GACTA, two other councils are looking at. So we might can, you know.
Yeah.
I think in line with, I was saying about what Ashley was saying, I wasn't thinking specifically those things, but in regards to our teacher training and preparation, we have over the past decade or so really taken away money from higher ed. And so we really, I think, need to focus on having teachers. If we don't have trained teachers, the best teachers, if there's not enough, they're not gonna be able to do a good job. So building that capacity within our higher ed institutions to produce high quality teachers.
Yeah, I think that I thought I read that somewhere in one of our old, in the FY21 plan.
I know it's been talked about. I just don't think that we've had much movement on that recently, in recent years.
Sandy, my addition, I agree, and my addition there would be not just teachers, but all service providers.
And even adding on to that, not just the prep, you know, the teacher prep programs, but the ongoing support to those teachers. Like high quality continuing education or support.
You mean like for special education? To try
I was muted. Not just special education, I guess the people who provide services for our students with disabilities.
Yeah.
So not just I'm saying
Right.
educators, but the entire team so that would include regular education teachers because we want our kids to be included. So.
Yeah. Okay. Going back and forth. All right. IEPs. On the can we put that down? Don't we? Okay. What about the and Sarah, you'll have to help me with the words, and I kind of like took a few notes whenever you were talking, but about advocating for the best practice in the high impact systems. And that was related to the IEP, I think, the IEP stored stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if it's, like, I don't know what the verbs are, but like advocating for and providing input on high impact systems that can be used to leverage best practice. Like, yeah, let me just do that. Like maybe it's advocating for and providing input on high impact systems that can be used to leverage best practice with around IEPs and
we had this was one of the objectives, but it kind of could be maybe some of the words could be played into the activity, the new activity about it had that the IEP team members will have increased levels of information and support to demonstrate effective individualized program consistent with best practice and to enable each member to fully participate as members of the IEP team. I don't know if that is words we need. Or the 3.1.2, some of those words, I don't know. Is that, I wasn't watching, Marilee, was that what you copied over to the, is the screen that you have up, what you copied over?
No, the screen I have up is the FFY 2021.
Okay.
action plan.
Okay, I just,
You read off the objective and then you read off one of the activities. I wasn't
yeah,
sure.
I didn't know if we were trying to find words for the activity that we were just writing them about to see if any of these.
I'll just copy and paste and
Mhm.
see how it turns out.
I do think I like the part about enabling every member of the IEP team to participate fully
Mhm.
and how we can use the system to encourage that, I think would be a
Yeah.
good thing to include.
So the bullet point, the fourth bullet point is what we're trying to work on, and you just copied that. Okay.
Yeah.
So number 4 is what we're working on, and we were going to use some of these words maybe from our other one. I think it was,
Right, the highlighted
Okay.
is FFY 2021 action plan.
Maybe it's leverage best practice around IEPs, and how do we say that part about access for effective member participation?
do we just take and enable each member to fully participate as members of the IEP team?
One more time, Miss Mary.
Let's see, to fully participate as members of the IEP team.
I think that's good, Miss Mary. I just
Okay.
want to point out that language.
Yeah.
Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but
Yeah.
the enable is more like the objective, and the activity is like how to enable.
Okay.
So I guess the activity that went with enabling members to participate fully as members of the IEP team was 3.1.2.
Yeah.
Is number 6 on the document y'all are looking at.
Okay. We can take those, I guess, off. I was just using some of that idea as part of the IEP part, because I know we wanted to have something with the IEP on there. Did we need to have something about the, let's see, okay. I like broad, with that believed to achieve priorities, can we put that as that we would advocate for, the education, the Department of Education's, I don't know how to.
I think those two that you have there really focus on the highly effective educator workforce and the cultivating high impact systems.
Okay.
But I think one of the other of the 5 priorities, one of the other ones is ensuring every student is on track to a professional career, college degree, or service, which I think really is fleshed out in the employment section below.
Okay.
So the other 2 priorities are, just in case we want to address them, which they might already be addressed, but provide the highest quality teaching and learning environment and remove barriers and create equitable, inclusive learning experiences for all children.
Yeah, that inclusive thing is something that we still need to for sure work on. And that was one of the activities that we had before was, the objective was about including students in the school culture and provide information, promote inclusion and acceptance of effective models of school climate and culture. But we're still working on, what inclusion looks like in this new world of COVID too. So, So Marilee, then I think we would take number 1, the belief to achieve priorities. We've kind of touched on those and moved them right. And then I think that's kind of where we're at. I think there were some things in the chat that had lots of information in there, but I hadn't had a chance to be able to look at it all too.
Can I make a suggestion? I know we'll make a motion for the ideas that we want to bring forward to the planning committee. But given that we have like our Families Helping Families centers, they have the expertise there in working with the families in regards to education. I mean, they have a contract with the DD Council as well as Department of Education. So like, I would like to be able to get like some, I know right now we don't have enough time, but perhaps get their input, to look at it before we have our planning committee meeting, because that may help us to just have better activities planned to put in the plan.
Seeing if maybe we could do something that was kind of broad that would pull that into an activity, but not necessarily, I just, for us to have to reach out to Families Helping Families and get anything very specific or get anything specific would require us to have another meeting, and we barely made it today. So
well, no, what I'm saying is that whatever we bring forward, which it actually is probably going to be posted, I assume, is the notes. Yes. Just like basically just send it to the point of contact, our families, and say, y'all have input. We're having this meeting. These are the things that's going to the planning committee. you know, if y'all have
Okay.
suggestions, you can make it at this planning committee meeting, or, you know,
Okay.
just open it up, the recommendation that to get input from them, because they may have some valuable input that we can't get in the next 15 minutes.
Okay.
There's another comment in the chat
Okay.
from Harlan Kausar. It says, I think that we need to consider more advocacy around equitable education opportunities for kids with disabilities rather than just equal inclusion.
Okay. I think we had, and that may be some of the, oh, see, I lost y'all. Okay. From some of the activities that we had, that objective 3.3, with our activity, which was advocate for educational systems change based on emergent education issues. And maybe we can change that, advocate for educational systems. Or I'm trying to make it where it would be,
Mary, I think that was like a placeholder for us to, you know, as we move forward each year and making those plans, we would insert what is the emergent education
issue.
issue.
Because we kind of did that on the employment piece. As if something comes up during this time, that whatever that emergent issue might be, that we would be able to, like you said, kind of have a placeholder for something that was happening that was unknown now while we're figuring out what activities to do.
I mean, an emergent education issue right now would be around the pandemic.
I agree.
And our kids with developmental disabilities have, you know, all the services that they should have. I don't know how to.
I don't know either.
Like that is, but I mean, that is an issue.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the things that there was something that you had written in there about the COVID stuff, and I do think that needs, let's see, it was in the chat.
It was just to examine and monitor COVID-19 impact on special education services.
So maybe that advocate for educational systems change based on emergent education issues that present themselves. Maybe that's where it includes anything that, I don't know specifically what I mean, I know there's a lot of issues. I just don't know if we
So
could.
Mary, I think that is like, okay, so what we're looking at is advocate for the emergent issues. That's leaving it open like we had COVID. Like right now, us advocating around kids getting the services during this time is meeting that current goal
agree.
or
Okay.
activity
Yeah.
plan. So maybe we don't need to be more specific. The way you meet that goal is by saying we did this around COVID-19.
Yeah, and we will continue to get updates from Department of Education or whoever for whatever's going on related to that. I'm with you. Okay.
So were y'all thinking delete this, the present themselves? Or what? I don't
No,
know.
you can. I think you can leave it. Okay. So here we are with these activities: building capacity in higher education institutions for those individuals providing services for special education students, traditional and special education teachers and service providers, including ongoing support, example, high quality ongoing teacher education. Number 2, advocating for and providing input on high impact systems that can be used to leverage best practice around IEPs and enable each member to fully participate as members of the IEP team. And advocate for educational systems change based on emergent education issues that present themselves during FY22, which an example would be getting services during the global pandemic. So any thoughts on those from the committee? If we look at the previous action plan to see if there was anything on there that we wanted to continue to move forward.
I think the only thing you guys didn't talk about is goal 4, if I'm correct.
Was what?
Goal 4.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, Marilee, do you have any insight into any of the activities to know if we?
Right. So I'm not very familiar with either one of these activities. I'm not. I don't know if Courtney is a planning person. And so
Is Courtney still on? Oh, Ashley said she might be able to help. Ashley.
okay, I guess she needs to be moved over. Haley, can you move Ashley over? I'm sorry, Miss Mary, if you want her to.
Yes.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this started back when Sean and I had worked with Senator Claytor on, I believe it's Act 467 or Act 267. One of them was the bill number, the other one's the act number. I'm not sure if I have them mixed up or not. But what it did is it made changes to the MFP formula to make it equitable. So at the time, the amount of money coming in and the amount of money going out to charter schools was different. And it changed it on the state level. The local level is still not equal. What Claytor also put in that bill was that charter schools type 2 and 5 have to serve their fair share of students with disabilities. So they have to meet 85% of the students with disabilities at rates similar to the other like traditional public schools in their districts. Where Sean and I found that this issue really can be solved is when Bessie is developing the charter compacts, I think is what they're called. And it basically rates, like when a charter goes up for renewal, this is weighted so insignificantly on the compact that they can still have an A, like ranking on a compact, and not meet this. So the weight of this requirement on those compacts is so insignificant that it really has done nothing to require, and there's no penalty if they don't. So that's what this is around. I think we passed the MFP legislation back in like 2014 or 15. So it's been an ongoing issue. We used to advocate very heavily for this, both at Bessie and sometimes in like a joint education committee meeting. But for years, Sean and I went to the table when the charter compacts were up for discussion at Bessie to try to get them to change it and to put some sort of accountability in place for charter schools not meeting this, because it was. I haven't looked at them in a couple of years, but there used to be a significant number that didn't even come close.
So it
And
sounds
those that have been around sometime might have triggered some memory of some conversations that occurred around this area.
Yeah. It sounds like we need to continue to keep this on our action plan.
I think so too. And I don't know if there's a way to, I don't know, change it up some specific to the charter compact process that's done at Bessie. I actually think they did it at the last Bessie meeting, because I was watching Bessie, I think last month, and I think this was on the, not this activity, but the compacts are on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary,
Yes.
I have another meeting, and
Yeah.
so I just want to
Yep.
make it a couple more minutes, but I need
Okay.
to
Okay. Okay, so that what you just did, Marilee, was just copied and pasted on this
Yes.
for our activities, and I think it could stay with that language. Maybe we can put something about, just put in parentheses, maybe the charter compacts, and that'll remind us of what this was supposed to be like. Okay. I'm sorry to rush us along, and I know Bambi's right. I didn't do a good job of time management today, but is there any other activities that are in your
The last one I saw was just increased opportunities for authentic input that impact policy decisions or decisions on policies affecting students with disabilities.
okay? I think that one should come over as well.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so were there, or does this list, does anybody on the committee have any other thoughts about any of the activities? Is there any public comment? Anything in the chat? Okay. If not, if we could ask for a motion to move these activities for the education activities and make a motion to present these to the planning committee.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Bambi. Can I get a second?
I'll second. Sarah Fletcher.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, are there any abstentions? Any objections? Okay, then motion pass. All right, thank y'all so much. I appreciate everybody. And then these will be the things that we'll work on with the planning committee. And then you'll see our action plan. And then as we have meetings quarterly, then we'll put these activities on our agenda and move through them so that we're getting updates and everything. So I appreciate it very, very much. Are there any other announcements? All right, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
Our motion.
It's like you're on a roll, Bambi. Let's.
I don't think you need a motion if you
I
just.
don't. Okay, they said I don't. All right, well, good. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. Look forward to working on this agenda, this action plan with y'all this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Haley.
Thanks. I'm trying to figure out how to end the live stream. I don't see it.